Hi class, I wanted to give you some video feedback. We're looking at this as if I'm a first-time site visitor, even if I've looked at it. And you're going to get my feedback based on how it's working as I walk through it, all right? Okay, really great footage I see here, like that. And the color's really great. You do have your banner up here, so it isn't getting lost here, really. First I thought it was, but it isn't. The logo is a little hard to read here, and do remove the placeholder. Okay, super important. Let's see. A little space here under there. Okay, so if I select this, it's commercial, but I'm going to narrative. So double check that. And here it's coming to the top. So you want to look at your links there, make sure they're going to the correct section. Okay, but I think it will work after that. Make sure you're using just two fonts throughout. This feels a little different from this. It could just be the way it's on a different background, but double check that. Okay, and good job, you're linked up. Make sure this is a Google Voice number so you're not putting your personal number out there. And this is a little stacked. I would probably extend this box and put your email down here so we're not stacked up here. I would just have this and your email over here and possibly remove that. Again, if it's a Google Voice, then that's not a bad idea. I would take this text box and bring it over here so we don't have that overlapping going on. Okay, so this appears to be the same font. Good job. Excellent photo. Okay. And is this going to the same page? It is. It's going to your home page. Okay. Okay. I would probably have a little more space here for this section, and that way you can say contact a little bigger here in this style and help it look more like a individual strip. It's got a little bit of height here, a little more room underneath here, your icons. Okay, so yeah, but it's really coming together well. Let's take a look at the mobile. Okay. So we do have a couple of different fonts. Like this is a little different from this. This does feel like it's extended a little bit. Okay. Probably could go a little smaller here and break up into at least 2 paragraphs, if not 3. And here you would close up this space. I'd make this a little smaller. If you do it on your desktop, it'll just carry over. Yeah, so, this is just a little hard to read, but it's looking good, just some details, which is to be expected. All right, great start. Okay, matte. Clean, consistent. You do want to link up to those that you have, at least a LinkedIn and probably a YouTube if you have a professional channel that just has your work. Okay. Ordinarily, we don't use all caps. It's not too tough to read, but I do have to zoom in a little bit. Ordinarily, we really avoid it. It's a style that you've got going. You don't have a lot of content. If you had paragraphs of this, it wouldn't work. Paragraph text doesn't read well. Yeah, I don't know if you can go bigger than that or not. Colors are great. Yeah, here it doesn't work very well. We wouldn't want it all caps, so you'll need something like what you have in your navigation to match that. Okay. Probably shouldn't italicize it. I'm just going to let you know that M-dashes are a sign of AI. I don't tell everybody that because sometimes I need to be able to identify that when students use it. And I know we ask you to use it, and it's fine. It really is fine. But if there's too many of them, it's definitely a sign that AI did a lot for us. And I know you rewrote these. I know you gave it the content. This is just an earmark that chat does. And so it's not going anywhere. So, as far as it's here to stay. So I just thought I'd make you aware of that. Definitely link those up. But it's looking great. The color is good. Really good. Let's see. Let's check your mobile. Okay. Something, I guess you want to close this up. And I would just take that off unless you're in the process of getting your Google Voice. Let's put a little more space under here. Clear that a little bit. Yeah, it's looking great though. Yeah, you want to fix that. Visually it works. It's just for readability, it's not a good choice, and we have to think about that. Okay. Closing that. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what happened there. All right. Okay. And everything seems to be in place. Let me double check the project. Yep, everything's there. All right. Great job. Great job. Just a couple of little, accessibility issues really for readability. Okay, Rebecca, good job. You've got your name and what you do in your header. Nice, clean. I probably would use a darker shade of this rather than the purple. Just sort of tie it together. But, it's your call. But that's what I would consider. Just going with that brand. I would extend this text box so we don't have that going on, that wrap. Okay, good job. You've been selective when it comes to your icons. Might want to center this. Okay, your navigation. Okay. You can do what feels right for you, but I would kind of keep to two colors, which would be your neutral and your teal. Let's make sure that's a Google Voice and make sure this is not your home address. All right, that must come out if that's the case. even if you work out of your home, okay? And again, same thing, reduce some of the M dashes for detail there. I would use a darker shade of this, kind of stay in the monochromatic. Nice color. A little more space here and here. Make sure you have the same amount of space. Okay. And if you need to, you can get into your content quicker by reducing this just a little or extending this paragraph text, that box, a little bit. You are committed to the purple. All right, let's see. Yeah, I would probably extend this a little. We end up with a lot of space over here. Probably take that box and extend it, the text. Okay. I would make this font no bigger than this and reduce that. You might want to consider centering this copyright or moving that to the left. Probably centering since you have this centered. Yeah, a little big. This needs to go smaller, this text. Make sure you're using the same font. I don't know if that's a bold of the same. Feels a little heavy there. This is a good font. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that needs to be a little more consistent in size with the rest. Okay, let me take a look here. Okay. Okay, yeah, you've got a couple of different fonts for your paragraph text, so you want to keep to the same. Either Questrel, yeah, that's what I would stick with for this paragraph in every place. But this needs to be a little smaller. It's not a small font, is why I say that. Some fonts you need to go a little bigger, and some you can, stay at a recommended 16 to 18 point. Check the spacing, the line spacing. So that's 18. I would extend that. All right, great start. Just some details, but otherwise everything's there. Okay, Quintarius, let's avoid this kind of treatment. Makes it hard to read. So if you want to keep a dark background, then you would need white text. And making sure that when you paste it, you're not using the format that where you pick this up from. Okay, you want to make sure that you have no formatting back there, that the background is all black. This, okay, it starts to disappear, so that's good. But we have an issue with this background, right? It's cropped. You may not need it. Something clean like this might be better for you than having this. Okay, this isn't really easy to read, but I'm going to leave that to you. I think, though, that it's a little deep. You might want to bring it over and maybe make it 2 lines instead of 4, so we get into the content. But I definitely remove this background. It's not sharp. It's not doing anything for you. You can put a little heading here that says about. You don't have an about page here. You have, this is your portfolio page, but this is your portfolio content. So when I select portfolio, it needs to land here. I would rename this about. Okay, I would rename that page about, and I would put a little heading here that says about. And then this is all you needed. Again, this isn't really sharp enough to be used as a background. If that's your company, then maybe when you rename this about, you can say Fifth Dimension Films up here. But that background isn't working for you. It's getting in the way. Make sure that this isn't broken, this link.
So how are we going to fix this?
Okay. Make sure those are separate videos. And a little more context, a little more description of this, and remove that and just have it clean. Your site will look more professional that way. Just 2 fonts. Okay, this needs to come out. Limit animations, especially when it reverses content like that. So I would take that animation off. Good job linking up, except for your LinkedIn. That needs to go to yours or remove it. This gradient is not working for you very well because we can't read that. And when we get to week 4, the accessibility is going to flag that. I would have, if you're going to have a gradient, I probably wouldn't do that. I would have darker here and just go out instead of a radial gradient. But you have to watch this, okay, your contrast. This is kind of an outlier. It doesn't really match your scheme, so I would rethink that. Remember how to remove backgrounds as you go into your site design, and it'll say page background, and you can just change it to the color black because this isn't working. I don't think it's yours. If it is, it needs to go in your portfolio with your works page rather, because that's going to change to about. Okay, so let's take it, and you're going to close this space up. Let me see your contact. Okay, you do have a form, and that's all good. Okay, let's look at your mobile layout. Yeah, just want to make the brand consistent. Closing that up. Yeah, move that background immediately. Once you do that, it's going to start to come together. Make that black. I would probably just use, go into the add elements and add a contact strip, a contact form. It'd be the quickest, unless you're comfortable going back in and removing the animation and the gradients. I know you probably like these, and there are things about them that work, but And I've certainly seen it where it didn't work as well, but you definitely have to think about that. Again, we've got 2 fonts for headers. We want 1 font for headings. All right. And yeah, so those are the things you want to work on. Great photo. Technically, you don't want to use Nike. You can't really use that. So consider going back outside and getting a new image or going in and blurring this, because we're really not free to use company logos, all right? And this is another font style. Okay, all right. I'm looking forward to seeing these in week 4. You're going to be so surprised. Again, you've got that background here. This probably isn't your image. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure that it is, in which case it needs to come out if it isn't. If it is, you need to have your navigation up here. It needs to not be in the header. It would have to be a top strip, but not in the header, so that your header can be one color, one solid color, so we're not doing this, trying to fit that in. And, this is a nice page. Hard to read this, but it looks good for now. I'm not going to say too much about that. And we talked about that. Let's make this a little smaller, and maybe you can take off Powered by Wix. You could put your email down here in its place, and you'll need a little form there. Okay. But the color and everything is looking good, but it should be more like this, and that should probably be solid. You could even try kind of this color in here if you want. Let's see. Yeah, this is in your header, so it's everywhere, and it's hard for us to know that we've changed pages, and I don't think it's yours. So that has to come out. This, we've got a lot of about content. So for portfolio, you've got this talking about you again, and what we need is just to see your work. Let's not use drop shadows. Go ahead and use a darker font if you want, but do not use drop shadows because we've used a font that's too light. And this, if you've already got a professional about, which you do, you don't really need this. It's not really this is not part of your marketing. I don't want to say it's filler, but when they select portfolio, they want to get directly to your portfolio content. Okay, so this is what you want to have. You want to have your header up here that's not very deep, and it should link directly to this. So I'm not sure what to tell you about this, except that you have quite a few places that discuss what you do, but they want to get into this, all right? And being consistent. All right. And again, same thing here. We want to get directly into this. I'm not going to say anything about this. I think it's template, and I'm not sure that this is yours either. It may be, but let me know about that. The contact needs to land here. Okay, that contact button. Let's make this one line instead of 2. If this isn't your image, we need to remove that. If it is, great, but Okay, and we have this again. Let's remove that. It's not really a logo. It's got too much content to be a logo. And again, we have this. So no repeated content, no repeated images or images that are similar. Okay, and I'm still scrolling here. So there needs to be an end to this page. And I don't see I see this here, but this needs to be reduced, and I guess it's the background. Okay, but this should end right here. Okay, let's take a look at the mobile. Again, you're going to take that image out and make sure that we're not breaking up cinematographer rather. Remove that. It's hard to read, and it's not really a logo. You don't want line breaks here. And again, we don't want to repeat. So once you fix all that, it'll be, corrected on your mobile. You have a navigation bar here, but you may not, in which case you're going to need to make sure. What I have to do is come back here, go to another page, and see if there's a navigation that's just not showing up. Okay, you're going to have to go in and make sure that this has to be cut. Okay, happens all the time when we get to mobile, too big. It has to be edited down. So yeah, you want to make sure you go back and add your navigation here when you're editing in your mobile. Okay. All right. So it's got some really strong points. It just requires some editing and a little bit of functional adjustments. All right. All right. Let's see. Okay, Toby. I really want to see what this is. It's a little small. Can't really read it. And I think I mentioned we won't want to use all caps. The layout is great. The image is good. I don't usually like overlapping, but it works okay because you've really reduced that back image. Hopefully, I don't know if it's yours. That would be important. The more you reduce it, the less it matters. But we only want original work. Okay, so let's see what we have here. If I scroll over this. Okay, it works all right here because it's not paragraph text. This background has to come out. That's template. All has to be removed. And I will tell you, the more you put on your site, the more work it's going to be in week 4 when you are required to make everything accessible. Okay, so for example, this and this, I know they're totally different angles, but to most users, they're going to feel like duplicates. So make a choice. And these work if you want that to be your brand. I would make this background black in your header so that we don't have this overlapping. Make sure that's yours. And I don't know if you need this, class assignment because of these. And if this is going to be your brand, that's probably what I would go for. Just a few examples there. Maybe this because you've got your logo. Okay, yeah, a little bit of thinning out there and moving the backgrounds. Let's see, and making sure you've got asset descriptions for each. Probably want to center this for your mobile. This might be able to be made smaller. Remove that background, reduce the number of images and works that you have. Probably center that. You probably don't need that background. All right. Yeah. So we want to avoid all caps. Terrific profile image. I do like your logo. Hard to read, but maybe you take this off for that as part of your logo. And then in your about, which is here, that's where you will introduce your atomic roar. Okay. All right. Great start. Great start. These are all becoming so unique, which is the whole goal of removing templates. Okay, Kenny. Easy to read. Good job. Great. I hope this is throughout. I'm sure it is. Good. Good. Color is good. Layout is clean. Consistent. All right. All right. And okay. Good job. Let's check out the mobile. Okay. All right.
Hey Internet, my name is Matthew Daniels.
You'll have a little less, you have a few pieces, but they all seem to have content descriptions, which will make it a little bit easier when you go to week 4. All right, great job. All right, everybody, that's it for this group. And let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. And I look forward to seeing your submissions next week. All right, good job.